Welcome back to Kindness Stories, where every story reminds us that kindness is not weakness, but a quiet strength that changes everything. Today's story is about a quiet girl, a cruel prank, and a surprising twist that left everyone speechless. Make sure you watch till the end, because this one is going to stay with you. It all started on the first Monday of the new school year. The morning was warm, but there was an edge in the air, the kind of tension that comes with the unknown. New classes, new teachers, and for one girl, an entirely new life. Her name was Amara. She had just moved to the city from a small town 3 hours away. Her father had passed away recently, and her mother had decided to start fresh, somewhere they could begin again. Amara wasn't thrilled about leaving behind her childhood home and her old friends. While she had quietly accepted the change, she knew her mother was doing her best. Amara was naturally shy. She kept her head down, spoke only when spoken to, and spent most of her time with her nose in a book or scribbling in a sketch pad. She didn't bother anyone. She didn't expect to be noticed. But sometimes, not wanting attention is exactly what draws it to you. On her first day, Amara walked into her homeroom class with a backpack too big for her shoulders and a soft smile. She tried to keep steady. She wore a plain skirt and blouse, and her long hair was pulled into a neat braid. She didn't look different, just quiet. But quietness, in a school like this, was its own kind of spotlight. 3 girls sat in the back of the class. Rachel, Tia, and Bella. Everyone knew them. They ruled the school not because they were the smartest or the kindest, but because they were the loudest and the meanest. Rachel was the ringleader, tall, with perfect hair and an even sharper tongue. Tia and Bella echoed her every move like shadows. When Rachel saw Amara, her eyes lit up not with kindness, but with curiosity laced with something more dangerous. She nudged Tia and whispered something. All 3 turned their eyes toward the new girl. Amara felt it, that burning sense that she was being watched. She kept her eyes down and walked to an empty seat near the front. The day passed slowly. No one spoke to Amara. At lunch, she sat alone beneath a tree, eating quietly, pretending not to notice the glances. She didn't mind. She had survived worse. What she didn't know was that the girls in the back were already planning something. By the end of the week, Amara's presence had become a kind of silent challenge to Rachel and her group. They didn't like how unaffected she seemed. They didn't like that she hadn't tried to impress them. Most of all, they didn't like how some of the boys in class had started asking about her, not because she was trying, but because there was something peaceful about her, that quiet confidence, that self-possession. On Friday, the prank was set in motion. The day started like any other. Amara came to school early, found her seat, and began sketching. She barely noticed the glances and whispers. But just before math class, when everyone was settling into their chairs, something strange happened. Rachel walked up to Amara's desk. "Hey, new girl," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "That's a cute skirt. Vintage." Amara looked up, confused but polite. Thanks," she said softly. Rachel smirked. Tia and Bella giggled. Then it happened. Fast while Rachel kept her distracted. Tia reached behind her with a pair of scissors she had hidden in her sleeve. In one quick snip, she cut the back of Amara's skirt just enough that the fabric fell unevenly, exposing her legs and underwear. Gasps filled the room. A few students laughed. Others froze. Amara stood up, horrified. Her face turned crimson. She grabbed her bag, pulled her jacket around her waist, and ran out of the classroom. Her eyes burned with humiliation. It was the worst day of her life. The girls laughed. Even the teacher, who came in seconds later, seemed confused until another student whispered what had happened. But by then, Amara was gone. The principal was notified. There was an investigation. Rachel and her group denied everything. They said Amara must have torn her skirt on something and was being dramatic. With no proof, no one was punished. The school told Amara's mother that it was an unfortunate misunderstanding. A warning was given. Nothing more. But that wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. Amara didn't come back to school for 3 days. When she did, something was different. She held her head a little higher. Her walk was steady. Her eyes, once soft and timid, had a focus to them. She wore pants now, and around her neck, a small silver pendant with a lotus on it. No one knew that during those 3 days, Amara had made a choice. She had gone back to something her father had once taught her, something she had stopped doing after his death: judo. Her father had been a judo instructor. Before he passed, he had spent hours teaching her how to defend herself. She had loved it, but after his death, she had stopped practicing. Now, she found her old uniform, dusted it off, and went back to the local dojo. She trained hard. She didn't tell anyone. Not even her mother knew how serious she had become. 2 weeks later, the school held its annual talent showcase. Students were encouraged to sign up to perform, sing, dance, act, or show any talent they had. Amara signed up. No one expected her to. In fact, most students didn't even notice her name on the sign-up sheet. The day of the showcase arrived. The auditorium was packed. Parents, teachers, and students filled the seats. Rachel and her crew sat near the front, rolling their eyes at every performance. Then, Amara's name was called. She stepped onto the stage wearing her white judo gi, tied neatly at the waist with a blue belt. The crowd went silent. Some students snickered. Without a word, Amara bowed. Then, she began a solo kata series of practice judo movements meant to demonstrate form, strength, and discipline. Her movements were fluid, precise, and powerful. Every kick, every throw, every motion told a story of strength, control, and inner fire. People stopped laughing. By the end of her performance, the crowd was mesmerized. When she bowed again, the room erupted in applause. Even some teachers stood. It wasn't just that she had talent. It was the message she had sent without saying a single word. The next day, everything changed. Rachel tried to joke about it, calling her Karate Kid, but the words fell flat. Students who had never spoken to Amara began approaching her in the halls. Some thanked her. Others apologized for not standing up for her. A few asked if she could teach them self-defense, but karma, as it tends to, wasn't finished yet. A week later, in gym class, students were paired up for a wrestling-style exercise on mats. By some twist of fate or maybe poetic justice, Amara was paired with Bella, one of the girls who had helped cut her skirt. The coach instructed them to try to take each other down using safe grappling techniques. Bella laughed and whispered something cruel under her breath. Amara didn't say a word. Within seconds, she had Bella on the ground. It wasn't violent. It wasn't aggressive. It was clean, controlled, and fast. Bella lay stunned, while the rest of the class stared in silence. Later that day, Bella and Tia cornered Amara near the lockers. Threatening her, Rachel joined them. This time, it got physical. But this time, Amara didn't run. What happened next would become the story everyone remembered. 3 girls tried to intimidate one. Only one walked away without being suspended. When the security cameras were reviewed, it was clear Amara hadn't started the fight. She had only defended herself with grace, with skill, and with restraint. Rachel, Tia, and Bella were suspended for 2 weeks. Amara became something no one expected, a symbol, not of revenge, but of resilience. She didn't seek popularity. She didn't mock her bullies. Instead, she focused on her studies, continued her training, and quietly offered to teach self-defense to any student who asked. By the end of the semester, more than 20 girls had joined her weekend class in the community center. Girls who had once felt powerless now stood taller because of her, and though she never asked for it, Amara became respected, not for fighting, but for standing, not for hurting others, but for refusing to be broken. That's the power of kindness. It doesn't mean being silent in the face of cruelty. It means finding the strength to stand with grace, to forgive without forgetting, and to rise without crushing others. Amara's story is one of quiet strength, of pain turned into purpose, and of the unexpected ways we find our voice. Sometimes, the shyest voice has the loudest echo, and sometimes, the ones we underestimate become the ones we admire most. Stay kind, stay brave, and never forget the smallest light can chase away the darkest shadow. Thank you for watching Kindness Stories. If you believe in the power of resilience and grace, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next story.